Hi guys, how's it going? Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk to you about this ENVE G Series Handlebar or ENVE Gravel Series Handlebar. But before we get there, I want to talk a little bit about some of the differences between road handlebars and specific gravel handlebars. I know some gravel bikes out there are still sold with road handlebars or non-specific gravel handlebars. So my point is, what do you actually get when you switch from your road handlebar to a specific gravel handlebar? So here's my take on coming from a road handlebar to a specific gravel bar. The two biggest things I noticed right away, and I'm talking as soon as I got on the bike and started riding, I'm feeling it right away, and you will too. One of them is controllability and the other one is stability. Since gravel bars are usually wider than regular road bars, specifically when the rider is in the drops, wider bars will give better control, and as a result, it will make riding more stable. And why do you want that? Well, if you're new to gravel bikes or gravel riding in general, the terrains are very unpredictable. We never know when obstacles are going to pop up on us as we ride. And also during technical descents, it is almost a must to be in the drops, as some of the potholes or bumps can potentially knock your hands off the hoods. So my point is, the ideal gravel bar is they give us better control and to be more stable on the bike. Well, what about ergonomics, comfort, aerodynamics, usability, and other essentials? Well, that's what I'm going to talk to you about is ENVE Gravel Series Handlebar. So I'll see you back at the house. All right, let's talk about ENVE G Series Handlebar. There's a lot to be covered, so here's what to expect. I'm going to talk about the price, the sizes, technical specifications, ergonomics, meaning efficiency, durability, reliability, hand positions, comfort, and a little bit on the aesthetic. I'll also touch a little bit about bike packing in terms of how and what stuff can be packed under the bar as well. So let's get started. I want to start off by talking about the price first, because this can either make or break the deal. So let's get out of the way first. This retails for $400, one of the most expensive bars I've seen without any stem. Alright, sizes and specifications. This comes in 4 different sizes: 42, 44, 46, and 48 centimeters. Measures from hood to hood. 6 degrees flare per side, so 54, 56, 58, 60 respectively. 80 millimeters reach, 120 millimeters drop. Weighs 246 grams for the smallest size, which is 42. It is also Di2 compatible. There's a cut line somewhere for the cable, but I've never had Di2 before, so I'll just leave it here for now. This bar is compatible with internally routed. It was designed with ENVE in-route. Again, I'll leave that for the nerds as well. The bar is mostly rounded, except these parts here are slightly oval. It also has its own bar plugs, which is pretty cool. So you just peel this out, then you wrap your bar as you normally would, then you peel this back to secure the tape. The SES Aero bar on my road bike also has that same bar plug thing, and they've been really good so far and can be replaced if need be. Alright, let's go to the efficiency and usability department. For reference, I am riding the smallest size, which is 42 centimeters. Once again, measures from hood to hood, and 54 centimeters from drop to drop. I'm going to use my previous bar that I'd had on this bike to compare, so it makes a little more sense. My previous bar on this bike was 38 centimeters, measured from hood to hood, and they felt perfect. The smallest size on this G Series is 42 centimeters, which is 2 sizes bigger than what I normally run. So they are a little wider for me to begin with, but manageable for the most part. Alright, so going back to the hood, although this is a specific gravel bar, they don't roll in or bend into each other as much as some of the ones I was looking at. That said, I don't know anything about those roll-in bars, so I won't be talking about them. The good part is that the style and the shape of this bar is very similar to road handlebars, which I know they're very comfortable all around. Not saying the other ones aren't by any means. The longest ride I've ridden with this bar was about 98 miles, mostly gravel, and a handful of 50, 60, 70 gravel mile rides with a little bit of climbing, and my hands and body felt good, no complaint there. One minor issue, and I don't want to use the word issue, but when I try to ride like fast people tucking in, because the bar is a little wider for me after several minutes with higher effort. My hands are getting tired faster compared to the same situation when I'm on my road bike. So I'm wondering if the hoods were bending in or going inward a little in such a way that they put my arms closer together or narrower, would I feel more comfortable? I don't tuck in, I don't ride like fast people all the time or stay in that position as much. That's why I said it's a minor issue. But for your use case, this might be different. In terms of hand positions, just like most handlebars, there's plenty of positions I can rest my hands on. I spend majority of the time on the hood, quite a bit in the drops, and the rest of the time just anywhere around the bar, on the bar, in the air, and I'm pretty comfortable. But that's not all, because one of the highlights about this bar, in my opinion, is the drops. There are two positions in the drops. I can stay closer to the bar ends to relax and still get some aerodynamic, and during some techs, going over some rough stuff or riding fast paced with the group, I'll just slide my hands all the way in. That will maximize that gripping, that braking, steering, controlling capability. Everything is in the drop, and I can still reach the brakes easily with one finger, which is very crucial. Mountain bikers can relate to how efficient one finger braking is. The same thing on gravel bike. But you might say, well, I can do that with just about any drop bars, right? True, but I haven't told you the best part about the drops yet. Two things: the way it concaves, or the amount of drops from the upper bar to the lower bar, which is 120 millimeters in this case, and that applies to all of the four sizes. And then the amount of flare. They put my wrist in a slight angle, and that is so comfortable. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Here's an example. The SES aero bar on my road bike is 37 centimeters from hood to hood and 42 centimeters from bar end to bar end, with 127 millimeters drop. So when I'm riding my road bike in the drops, it feels narrower and straighter. It doesn't feel natural. It feels like going to work, versus when I'm in the drops riding my gravel bike, it feels like a career. I'm comfortable. I enjoy being in them. One more thing on the drops is they're not super low. They don't put me in the extreme position or anything. I can stay here and be somewhat upright comfortably for a really, really long time. And that's because the 120 millimeters drop. And the width down here from one drop to another is perfect for me. I'm getting ahead of myself. We haven't talked about comfort yet. Durability and reliability kind of go hand in hand, and they were also a big one on my list. I'll make this short and simple. It wasn't that difficult for me to decide which manufacturer I want to go with. I know that ENVE makes some really high-end carbon fiber parts. That also explains the price tag as well. Again, not saying the other ones aren't making high-end stuff, but I do trust their tests that they've done over the years. Alright, let's talk about comfort. Coming from my aluminum or alloy handlebar, I don't know which one that is, that I've been using for over 3 years, I can really appreciate how well the ENVE bar is soaking up all the road vibrations. Therefore, it doesn't make me use the extra energy. Let me explain what I meant by extra energy. So with the ENVE bar, you can still feel all the road vibrations, every line, every bump, every pothole, etc. You can still feel everything, but it doesn't transfer all those vibrations to my wrist, my hands, or shoulders, or my neck as much as my aluminum bar did. And as a result, my hands feel less numb and body feels less fatigued. So to make it short and easy to digest, riding 100 miles on this bar feels very similar to riding 30, 40, 50 miles in terms of the fatigue and the numbness level. They don't get worse. In contrast, the same scenario with my aluminum bar, which is very harsh and does not really reduce much vibration. After graveling for about 20 miles, the fatigue and the numbness level is right here. 30 miles, 40 miles, 50 miles. It just keeps on escalating. It just keeps on getting worse and worse. And I don't know about you guys, but when my hands are numb, I tend to grab a hold to my handlebar very tightly. Part of that, maybe just because I couldn't feel a certain part of the bar, but that's just using more energy than I need to. And all of a sudden, my body is very tense, and you can imagine the rest of my ride. I might be exaggerating a little bit on the harshness of the aluminum bar, but don't get me wrong, because I can still go back to my aluminum bar and still gravel with it any given day. It's just When we compare the differences between alloy material and carbon fiber, in this case, Envy is just so much more comfortable. Before we start talking about the aesthetic, I just want to mention that this is my opinion. There's no science behind it. The hoods don't bend in or roll into each other as much, which I wish they did, just like most gravel bars. But Envy's claim is probably has to do with the dynamite thing or the compliance. I've never written bars with rolled in hoods before, so I don't know how comfortable and efficient they are in terms of hand placement, but part of me would still like to see this bar being rolled in a little bit further just to give that dedicated gravel look. Another thing about this bar is although it feels like an upgrade, it is definitely an efficient upgrade in terms of comfort and ergonomics and all of the compliments I've made earlier about this bar, no doubts about that. It didn't look like an upgrade at first. I mean, I kind of had an idea of what this bar looked like from not very many pictures out there on the web, but upon seeing it in person, it looked a little classic. Not in a bad way though. Maybe I was used to seeing their SES era bar, but anyway, that was my impression of this bar when I first saw it. Some of you may disagree, and I totally understand that. I know that Envy never claims this bar to have a modern appearance or anything like that. I've also been thinking, had Envy done such things that I wish this bar would be, would it still offer all of the benefits I've talked about so far? The other part of me thinks this bar looks great. It is very efficient and simple. It's not flashy except that big old Envy brand across the front of the bar. No aerodynamic to be seen anywhere visually. Overall, everything is rounded, a little oval shape on the top even though you can't really tell. It doesn't get any older than that. So my theory is when other manufacturers produce aero gravel bars in 2 years, 3 years or 5 years from now, this will always be Envy's flagship of non-aero gravel handlebar. And to my benefit, it kind of goes hand in hand with my rounded titanium frame. They complement each other really nicely. Another thing that can be overlooked is how easy and effortless it is to mount accessories compared to flat top bars. That goes from handlebar bags, feed bags, my computer, my lights, with many different places to mount. I've been using this bar for more than 6 months now, and I'm starting to get used to the appearance, which has grown on me since. But let me know what your thoughts are on the aesthetic. As far as bike packing and bike touring, I haven't done much of either one, so I don't have the most popular handlebar bags or whatever, but here's one from Topic's front loader. I got a few bibs, a couple of long sleeves, some shorts and some socks, rolled them up nice and tight. It measures to about 12 inches and it's sitting there pretty nicely. You can go all the way to 16 inches comfortably with this bar. And if you are touring or don't want to use the same bag, here's one from Ortlieb Ultimate 6. This is what I used on my last bike packing trip. I didn't want to undo my Garmin mount to show you how to attach this Ortlieb bag on there, but it goes on there just fine, no issues with that. Last thing I want to talk about is aero. Well, you know what I was going to say. This is not a fair comparison, not apple to apple, but here's a little bit of what I have to say. I feel like my aluminum bar, which was not aero by all means, was a little bit more aero than the ENVE G Series, and I rode the two bars back to back after I swapped them out, and the difference was kind of noticeable, which was to be expected for a bar that is this wide. But then again, if I'm choosing a bar this wide, I'm not going to worry about being less aero. With that said, I don't think this is a good bar to race with if you are looking to save time. So these are some of the takeaways. Controllability and stability, well, you get that with just about any gravel handlebars, but when it comes to the ergonomics, the comfort level is off the hook. It reduces a lot of vibration. I hardly feel any numbness or fatigue in my hands or body. The bar is not super aggressive, which has to do with the amount of drop. 120 millimeters in this case, and the amount of flare is just enough from one drop to another, at least for me. And the way this bar positions my hands, it is very comfortable on the hoods, in the drops, and just about anywhere else. As for the aesthetic, if someone is looking for a modern appearance or aero geometry in performance, this bar is not it. However, if the looks don't bother you or if you prefer classic or simple stuff, I think you'll enjoy it very much. One of the biggest benefits is the ability to mount any accessories, my lights to be specific. Some of you may say, well, you can mount your light underneath your Garmin. Sure, I've done that, but I can't do that when the bar bag is here. I'm not arguing, I'm just pointing things out. Sizing, not so much of an issue for me, but being 42 is the smallest size, some female cyclists may have some issues with it being too big. So I don't know, maybe making size 40 centimeters available. I'm just saying. Well, my friends, it's good sharing this information with you. That's all I can think of right now. If you have any questions, drop them. Other than that, I hope you picked up a thing or two from this video. Have a safe ride. I'll talk to you guys next time.